The history of the verse, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." We explore Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1, a verse that has shaped worldviews, inspired art, and guided scientific debates. This brief yet powerful text invites us to consider the origin of the universe and our connection to the divine. Join us on a journey through history, culture, and science as we unveil the ongoing relevance of these words in the modern understanding of faith and existence. Chapter 1. The Origin of Everything. The opening verse of the Bible, Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth," presents a powerful statement about the universe's origin, creation ex nihilo, or creation from nothing. This idea, deeply rooted in Judeo-Christian theology, suggests that the act of creation is a singular and transcendental event, performed by a supreme entity. At the heart of this concept lies the notion of an absolute beginning, where everything that exists has its start in God's will and word. Philosophically, this verse invites reflection on the nature of being and existence. How can something come from nothing? What does it mean for God to precede creation? Throughout history, theologians and philosophers have pondered these questions, offering various interpretations that seek to understand the magnitude of this creative act. Saint Augustine, for example, saw creation ex nihilo as a manifestation of God's infinite power, while Thomas Aquinas argued that only God, being the supreme being, could create without pre-existing material. This act of creation not only sets the tone for the rest of the biblical narrative but also underpins a worldview in which the universe is ordered, purposeful, and meaningful by a divine intelligence. The creation of the world is God's first act of love and generosity, inviting us to contemplate our own existence and purpose within this created order. Thus, Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1, is not merely a statement about the temporal beginning of the universe but a profound reflection on the relationship between God, the world, and humanity. This verse challenges us to consider the mystery of our existence and the origin of all that is, inviting us on a journey of spiritual and philosophical exploration that transcends time and space. Chapter 2. God as Creator. Exploring the role of God as Creator in the context of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1, takes us on a journey through divine characteristics and their relationship with creation. This act of creation reveals God as a being of unimaginable power but also as an architect of infinite wisdom and goodness. The creation of the universe from nothing illustrates an intimate and direct relationship between the Creator and His work, where each element of the cosmos is an expression of divine desire and a manifestation of His essence. In theological traditions, the nature of God as Creator is understood through several key attributes: omnipotence, omniscience, and benevolence. Omnipotence is reflected in God's ability to create the entire universe effortlessly. Omniscience, on the other hand, suggests that God knew every detail of creation before it existed, designing it with precise purpose and order. Benevolence is manifested in the act of creation itself, considered an act of pure generosity, offering existence to creation without prior need or obligation. Different traditions have interpreted God's relationship with His creation in various ways. In some visions, God is a clockmaker who, after creating the universe, lets it run according to the established natural laws. In others, God is seen as a being constantly involved in creation, sustaining it and guiding it toward its fulfillment and ultimate purpose. This conception of God as Creator has profound implications for how we understand our own existence and the world around us. It invites us to see the universe not as a series of meaningless accidents but as a creation with purpose, imbued with meaning and value by its Creator. It also raises questions about our responsibility toward this creation, how we interact with it, and how we live in a way that reflects the order and goodness inherent in God's creative act. Chapter 3. The Heavens and the Earth. The heavens and the earth, mentioned in Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1, encompass the totality of the cosmos in its most elemental and fundamental form. This verse not only introduces the setting for all creation but also establishes a clear distinction between two realms, the celestial and the terrestrial. In the biblical context, the heavens often refer not only to the firmament or visible sky but also to the divine or spiritual realm, the home of God and celestial beings. On the other hand, the earth represents the domain of the physical, the home of humanity, and the stage for our everyday lives. The ancient conception of the universe, as reflected in Genesis, is deeply symbolic, with the heavens and the earth representing all that exists. This cosmological view not only includes the physical aspect of the world but also its spiritual dimension, underscoring the belief in a reality that is both visible and invisible, material and immaterial. Comparing this vision with the modern understanding of the cosmos, we find significant differences, especially regarding the scale and complexity of the universe. Modern science, through theories like the Big Bang and the expansion of the universe, has vastly expanded our comprehension of the cosmos, revealing a universe of trillions of galaxies, each with millions or even billions of stars and planets. Despite these differences, the notion of the heavens and the earth remains relevant. On a symbolic level, it continues to represent the totality of creation and the omnipresent presence of the divine throughout the universe. For many, this concept resonates with the idea that science and faith are not incompatible but can offer complementary perspectives on reality. Thus, the heavens and the earth become a bridge between the past and the present, inviting us to reflect on our place in the universe and our relationship with the divine. It encourages us to explore not only the vast outer cosmos but also the inner universe of spirituality and faith, seeking a balance between our scientific understanding and our religious beliefs. Chapter 4. The Word and the Power of Creation. In the biblical account of creation, God's Word is presented as the instrument through which the entire universe is brought into existence. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. This act of speaking and creating underscores the immense power of the divine Word, capable of transforming nothingness into being, of ordering chaos into cosmos. The Judeo-Christian tradition, as well as other religious and philosophical traditions, has deeply contemplated the meaning and potency of the Word as a vehicle of creation and revelation. The concept of the creative Word implies that the universe is not a meaningless accident but the product of deliberate intention. God's Word embodies this intention, serving as a bridge between divine thought and the physical manifestation of that thought. In this sense, creation is an act of communication. Through His Word, God reveals Himself and His will for the universe. This idea also highlights the importance of language and communication in human experience. If the universe was created through the Word, then language has an inherent power not only to describe reality but to shape it. Mystical and esoteric traditions, for example, often emphasize the power of words to influence the physical and spiritual world, suggesting that human speech, as a reflection of the divine Word, has creative and transformative capabilities. Furthermore, the concept of the creative Word invites reflection on the responsibility that accompanies the use of language. Just as God's Word creates and orders, human words have the power to build or destroy, to heal or harm. In this context, the act of speaking becomes an ethical responsibility, a means through which we can reflect the goodness, truth, and beauty of divine creation in our daily interactions. Therefore, the Word and the power of creation remind us of the sacred link between the Creator, creation, and creature. It challenges us to consider how our own words and actions can reflect the order, intention, and love inherent in God's creative act, promoting a more harmonious and compassionate world. Chapter 5. Interpretations and Controversies. Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1, has been the subject of countless interpretations and debates throughout history. This seemingly simple verse contains depths of meaning that have captured the imagination of theologians, philosophers, scientists, and laypeople alike. The diversity of readings, from literal to figurative interpretations, reflects the richness and complexity of the biblical text, as well as the varied perspectives from which it has been approached. The literal reading, advocated by some Christian traditions, holds that Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1, describes a precise historical event, the creation of the universe by God at a specific moment. This interpretation has sparked debates, especially in relation to scientific theories about the origin of the universe, like the Big Bang, which present a chronology and creation process distinct from those described in a strictly literal sense of the biblical text. On the other hand, figurative interpretations see in Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1, a metaphorical or symbolic truth about the origin and purpose of the universe. These readings suggest that the verse is not intended to be a scientific account of creation but a theological statement about God's authority and sovereignty over all that exists. From this perspective, the text invites reflection on meaning rather than on the empirical details of the creative process. Debates over Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1, have also touched on fundamental philosophical questions, such as the nature of time, space, and existence. How can the beginning be understood in a context where time itself is part of creation? What does it imply to create from nothing? These discussions reflect not only human curiosity to understand the origin of the universe but also the search for a deeper meaning in our existence. The diverse interpretations of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1, demonstrate how a brief verse can serve as a starting point for delving into some of humanity's most profound and persistent questions. Chapter 6, Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1, in art and culture. The resonance of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1, through the ages has transcended sacred texts to permeate art, literature, and music, becoming an inexhaustible source of inspiration for artists and thinkers. This verse has been interpreted, depicted, and reimagined in countless forms, each reflecting the concerns, hopes, and anxieties of its time. In painting, for example, the creation of the world has been a recurrent theme, captured in canvases ranging from the detailed frescoes of the Sistine Chapel by Michelangelo to modern abstract interpretations that seek to capture the essence of the divine creative act. These works not only illustrate the event of creation but also explore themes of light and darkness, order and chaos, reflecting the complexity and majesty of the act of creating. Literature, in turn, has found in Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1, a starting point for reflecting on the origin of the universe, the meaning of existence, and the relationship between the creator and creation. From epic poetry to contemporary narrative, writers have woven this verse into stories that probe the nature of divinity, the ethics of creation, and the role of human beings within the cosmic order. In music, creation has been evoked in compositions ranging from complex choral and symphonic works to more intimate expressions in songs and instrumental pieces. These compositions seek to capture the grandeur and mystery of the beginning of everything, often using sonic texture to evoke the emotional and spiritual depth of the creative act. The impact of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1, on culture reflects the human quest to understand and express the mystery of our origins and our relationship with the divine. By inspiring art and thought, this verse reminds us of the capacity of creation to move the human spirit, inviting us to contemplate our own creativity and the beauty of the world around us. Chapter 7, Creation and Science. The relationship between the biblical account of creation in Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1, and scientific discoveries about the origin of the universe is a subject of fascination and debate. This chapter examines how the narrative of creation and scientific findings, particularly the Big Bang theory and the laws of physics, can interact and mutually enrich each other. The Big Bang theory, which describes the origin of the universe as a massive expansion from an extremely hot and dense state, presents striking parallels with the biblical notion of an absolute beginning. Although the details and language of the scientific description differ significantly from those of the biblical account, both agree on the fundamental concept of a beginning of time and space. Beyond superficial similarities, the interaction between science and faith can be seen as an invitation to explore the deeper dimensions of reality. Science seeks to understand the how of the universe, its laws, its evolution, and its structure. Faith, on the other hand, seeks to answer the why, the purpose, meaning, and ultimate cause behind existence. This dialogue between science and religion is not without tensions, especially when sacred texts are interpreted literally in opposition to scientific findings. However, many see in this relationship an opportunity for a richer and more nuanced understanding of the world. By recognizing both the validity of scientific inquiry and the importance of existential and spiritual questions, we can approach a more integrated view of reality. Chapter 8: Ecology and Stewardship. Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1, by declaring the creation of the heavens and the earth by God, lays a foundation for understanding the human relationship with the environment from a theological perspective. This verse, and the creation narrative as a whole, has been interpreted by some as a call to stewardship or responsible management of the planet, seeing in creation a divine trust granted to humanity for its care and preservation. The notion of stewardship implies an ethical responsibility toward the environment, recognizing that the natural world is a sacred creation that must be protected and valued. From this perspective, environmental degradation and unsustainable exploitation of natural resources are seen not only as ecological problems but also as moral and spiritual failures. This theological approach to ecology emphasizes the interconnectedness of all creation and the mutual dependence of its components. It recognizes that humans are part of the fabric of life and that our well-being is intrinsically linked to that of the ecosystems around us. Consequently, caring for the environment becomes an act of faith and obedience to the divine will, a reflection of our respect and love for the Creator. In recent years, this vision has inspired eco-theological movements that seek to integrate spirituality and religious ethics with environmental action. These initiatives highlight the role of faith communities in promoting sustainable practices and combating climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution. The call to responsible stewardship of the planet, based on the understanding of creation as a divine gift, invites us to reconsider our actions and their impact on the natural world. It challenges us to live in a way that honors the integrity of creation, seeking the well-being not only of humanity but of all life on Earth. Chapter 9. Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1, in the modern world. In a world characterized by technological advancement, globalization, and cultural and religious pluralism, Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1, retains profound relevance. This verse, marking the beginning of the biblical narrative, continues to influence interreligious dialogue, ethics, and contemporary debates on the origin and purpose of life. The universality of the creation theme allows Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1, to serve as a meeting point for people from diverse religious and philosophical traditions. In interreligious dialogue, this verse offers common ground for exploring different understandings of the cosmos and the divine, promoting respect and mutual understanding. In the realm of ethics, the idea of creation as a deliberate act of God invites reflection on the intrinsic value of life and the universe. This has significant implications for how we approach issues such as social justice, human rights, and environmental care, encouraging an ethic of responsibility and care toward others and the world we live in. Debates about the origin and purpose of life are also enriched by Genesis chapter 1 verse 1. In an era of unprecedented scientific discoveries, this verse reminds us of the fundamental questions about where we come from and where we are going, offering a perspective that complements scientific knowledge with spiritual and moral considerations. Despite the challenges posed by modernity, Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, maintains its capacity to inspire, comfort, and challenge. It invites us to contemplate the magnitude and mystery of creation, to seek deeper meaning in our existence, and to live in a way that reflects the dignity and purpose inherent in God's creative act. Chapter 10. beyond the beginning. Looking toward the future, Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1, invites us to consider how new interpretations and understandings might continue to shape our perception of creation and our relationship with the divine. In a constantly changing world, this verse remains a beacon of light, guiding us through the often turbulent waters of human existence. The ongoing exploration of science, philosophy, and theology promises to reveal new dimensions of reality, challenging us to expand our understanding of the universe and our place in it. As we move forward, Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1, can serve as a reminder of the wonder and awe that should accompany our quest for knowledge, keeping curiosity and humility alive in our hearts. In this journey, the wisdom contained in this ancient verse can inspire us to approach contemporary challenges with hope and creativity, seeking solutions that harmonize with the principles of care, responsibility, and respect for creation. Reflection on our responsibility as guardians of the planet and as participants in a broader community of life is essential for forging a sustainable and just future. Therefore, Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1, not only marks the beginning of the biblical narrative but also points toward a horizon of infinite possibilities. In its words lies a perpetual invitation to explore, to marvel, and to consciously participate in the ongoing act of creation that defines our existence. As we look to the future, we can find in this verse a source of inspiration and guidance, a reminder that, even amidst uncertainty, there is a fundamental principle of hope and purpose guiding our path.